Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you back to our program Food for Thought. Last time we did talk about, does God have a plan for us, and what's the difference between a plan and a purpose? But this time I want us to challenge a little bit more. Can we get some tips to how to figure out God's guidance to us? Do we hear God's voice in our life? We'll talk about this when we come back in our program Food for Thought. Welcome back everyone to your program Food for Thought. So we've all agreed upon that God has a purpose for us in our life. And for us, we can pick or choose whatever we would like as long as it's following and fulfilling God's purpose to us. But are there some tips for guidance for us to really know how God is present in our life? And this is a very hard topic, but we'll try to make some sense of it. So the first thing I would like to tell you is that do not think of God's guidance in a dichotomy, that God is up there or outside of you, and you're inside there, you're just trying to go by your life and make your decisions. God is not outside you. He's present inside you. His presence and His kingdom is inside your heart. So if you're looking for guidance, look for it inside your heart. Do not look outside, because the guidance is within you. We all know very well in Isaiah 30, verse 21, just a beautiful verse. Your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it, whenever you turn to the right hand or whenever you turn to the left. So that voice is inside us. There is no question that the less involved God is in your plans, the more separated you are from Him, the more that you would feel that He's up there and you're down here. A lot of people feel that, and they feel that they're completely dissociated with God. But the first thing in making a decision or feeling the guidance from God, He's inside you. Do not separate yourself from Him. There's no question that the closer you are to Him, the easier you're going to be feeling and hearing His words. So the first advice that I got when I was a kid, when I was growing up to make decisions, is that if you're coming up for a big decision in your life, whether it's a job, marriage, immigration, moving out of state, make sure when you make that decision to be as close as possible to God in your spiritual life. That is probably your best guarantee that you're going to go well. But if you're going to make a decision when you're far away from God, you know what? There are no guarantees at that point that you made the right decision. There's no question that the closer you are to God, the more He's inside you, the more divine reassurances you're going to feel. Some of us expect to kind of get a revelation when they're making a decision. But you know what? Revelations do happen, but they're the exception. We cannot expect every time we're making a decision that God is going to appear to us and tell us, well, you got to do this. But there's something called divine reassurance. You're going to feel inside your heart that, you know what? This is the right decision. The closer you are, the more you feel it. The other thing that we always know is that the closer you are, the easier it is for you, the clearer the picture it is for you to interpret things around you. I like to give this analogy. If you have a book, let's say you have a book, and this book has most of the answers in your life. And now you take this book, and you go in the darkest spot in the street and try to read this book, and it has all the answers. They're in there. Can you read anything? Absolutely not, because it's dark. But when you come close to the light, and now you're standing just right underneath the light, the answers become clear to you. Same thing for our Lord Jesus Christ. The closer you come towards the light, it's going to be easier for you to figure out your life. You see in Psalms 119, verse 105, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. That is what God's guidance offers us. So you may not get a clear answer or just a revelation, but when you're close to God, you can figure out what's happening in your life. There's another beautiful thing that we get out of this divine guidance and divine protection. The closer you are to God at that time, the more protection you'll get, even if you don't know what you're getting yourself into. I'll give you an example. Let's say somebody is stuck in a snowstorm, and they're stuck and they are trying to get down from a mountain because they're going to freeze to death otherwise. And they know that one path would lead them down to the road, the other path could lead them down to a cliff. Well, they'll fall off the cliff, and then they will die. If they stay and do nothing and they don't make a decision, well, they'll freeze to death. If they go down the wrong path, well, they could fall off and die. So they're looking for something to protect them, at least in the uncertainty of that knowledge. That divine protection is what we get from God. Because sometimes, even to the best of our intentions, we don't know all the answers. But we know at that point that we have got a divine protection, that when we're going to go down in that snowstorm, God is going to protect us, at least from the danger and from the evil. So that's the first tip that I want to leave you with today. If you want to be sure that you are making a right decision, do not wait for a revelation, do not wait for an angel. Just get as close as possible as you can to God. You'll find the divine reassurance, you'll find the divine protection. You'll be able to see clearly, under the light, the answers for your life. Are there more tips? Absolutely. And when we come back from our break, we'll go over some of them. Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you back to your program Food for Thought. So we talked before the break about some guidance tips for us to know how to listen to God's guidance. And the first tip I said is that simply, just be as close as possible to the light. Things will be clearer. You'll be able to make a decision. The second thing is that use your rational and resources and faculties that God gave you to make a decision. A lot of us want to just present what we have to God and tell them, it's like, okay, God, you choose. But you're forgetting something really important. God gave you everything that you are, your family, your friends, your resources, your university, who you are, so you can make decisions. So why are you ignoring all these faculties and waiting for God to give you an answer? He's already given you the answer. It's you. So when you're endowed with all these things, don't think of God now as an external thing that's going to make the decision for you, because He's inside you and He's directing all these faculties to His glory. So it's just like some of us when we think of God trying to get us an answer. Well, you know what? A friend, a parent, a mentor who has given you an advice, that could be God's answer to you in making that decision. Don't be like that man when he was basically waiting in a flood, okay? And his house is flooded now, and he's going to be overcome with water, and he's going to drown. And that man kept saying to God, is like, well, God, please save me. God, please save me. God, I'm waiting for you to send the angel to save me. Please save me. And then when people come by with a boat and try to save him, he said, no, no, God is going to save me. So when this man died, he went up to heaven and asked God, God, I called upon you, and you didn't save me. And God answered him back and tells him, well, you know what? I've sent you so many boats to save you, and you refuse to get on because you're waiting for a miracle. Those boats were your savior, were your miracle. You should have got on one of them. That's sometimes what we do. God gives us a lot of rational answers and rational resources to use, but yet we choose to ignore them, and we're waiting for a miracle, we're waiting for a revelation. Those resources are our revelation. So that's the second tip. The third tip is that always make the decision with the end in mind. Because we talked about it in another time. Since we are created for eternity, when you look at that end in mind, it will make the decision easy for you. Maybe that's the purpose that God is looking to get from you. So for example, if you're going to take a job A versus job B, which one of them is going to allow you some more time to glorify God and serve His holy name? If you're going to take your family and uproot your family and move from state A to state B, have you thought about church? Have you thought about your kids and going to church? Have you thought about this end in mind before you make your decision? That is a very important thing to look at. So for us, since we know we're only temporary here in this life and we have an eternity, a way to get guidance from God is to look at God's purpose behind your decision. And now, since you've used all your faculties, everything that you have, now just enjoy the ride and be a friend with God. That's one of the things that we always miss, because we're so tense in our life trying to choose between job A and job B that we just forget to sit back and after we've chosen job B, to make friends with God. Enjoy the ride. God doesn't want us to be always struggling as if somebody's overlooking our back and just checking on us. Okay, where are you today? God is a friend, making sure that throughout our life and throughout our decisions, we have friends. So you look in Isaiah, when he talks to us, I have created you and cared for you since you were born. I will be your God throughout all your lifetime. Yes, even when your hair is white with age, I made you and I will care for you. I will carry you along and be your Savior. So, enjoy the ride and be a friend with God. Don't put yourself into this dichotomy. Is God as a master, as a judge, overlooking you, making sure that you've done the right decision? He's more your friend. You look over here in Psalm 149. For the Lord takes pleasure in his people. He will beautify the humble with salvation. That is the bottom line. So in essence, I hope in this I've convinced you that God may not have a certain plan for us in terms of what job, vocation, career, state, family, or marriage even. He doesn't have a picked person for us. We get to pick, which, you know what, is a great honor that God gives us. But in the meantime, he knows what we're going to do. And he wants us to have a purpose behind what we do. And he wants us to finish anything that we do by coming and meeting him in heaven. So, use your faculties, use your resources, use everything that he's given you. Listen to him, be close to him, be close to the light, because that light is going to give you a divine reassurance. It's going to give you a divine protection. And at the end, enjoy the ride and be his friend. So with this, I hope I did convince you that you can look at it in a different way. Don't look to God as somebody outside you, waiting to judge everything that you do. He's inside you. He's your friend. And he wants to enjoy the ride with you. So, I've given you some food for thought. Give it a thought. It may make a difference to who you are. And we'll see you next time, and have a blessed day.